The October 27th meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. In the interest of promoting health and safety as we continue to deal with COVID-19 pandemic, the Board of Estimates continues to meet virtually. At this time, I'll ask Comptroller Henry for any corrections, additions, and noted abstentions from today's agenda. Comptroller Henry, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have the following changes and corrections on page 79, item number 4, personnel. BSIT, the last position number currently reads 53990. Please delete the 0 and insert the number 5. On page 80, item number 6, personnel, the classification currently reads council assistant. Please delete council and insert executive. And also on page 80, item number 7, personnel, the classification currently reads executive assistant. Please delete executive and insert council. There are no protests for today's meeting. The following items are being deferred or withdrawn. On pages 68 and 69, item number 5, Bureau of Procurement, contract number 08000, Shot Spotter Annual Subscription Services is being deferred to November 3rd, 2021. On page 75, item number 13, Bureau of Procurement, contract number B50004091, computer desktops, laptops, and tablets is being deferred to November 3rd, 2021. On page 76, Bureau of Procurement, pay confirming invoices, contract number 08000, maintenance, service, repair, supplies, and equipment is being withdrawn. And on page 103, City Council Bill 21-0083, an ordinance concerning franchise gas regulator station utility at Lower Glens Falls Park is being deferred until November 3rd, 2021. The following items are being moved to the non-routine agenda. Page 62, Office of the Comptroller, Draft Board of Estimates Regulations. There are no items being moved to the routine agenda. The board has received the following abstentions from the Honorable Mayor Brandon Scott on pages 41 to 42, items number 5, 6, and 7, Health Department agreements, the Johns Hopkins University. On pages 43 to 44, item number 9, Health Department agreement, the Johns Hopkins University. And on page 50, item number 1, Department of Transportation Developers Agreement, the Johns Hopkins University. We have received no other abstentions. There are no votes. And that's all we have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. I now would like to direct the board's attention to a memorandum from my office dated October the 25th, 2021, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Comptroller today. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the items contained in the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approving the items on routine agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The items on the routine agenda have now been adopted. The first and now only, based off of the comments and update from the Comptroller, item on today's non-routine agenda can be found on page 62, Office of Comptroller, Draft Board of Estimate Regulations. This item will give a preliminary approval to a set of regulations for the operation of the board and that would then be published for public comment. Following the public comment period, the regulations would again come before this board for final adoption. At this time, I will turn the floor over to Comptroller Henry to talk about the items. Comptroller Henry, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And then I'm going to do a pass the floor over to Mr. Jim Knighton, who's the Director of Policy here in the Comptroller's office and who's been taking the lead on the rules and regs. Jim?
Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Comptroller, members of the Board of Estimates. For the record, I'm James Knighton, Director of Policy with the Comptroller's Office. The draft Board of Estimates regulations that are before you today are the product of almost a year's worth of work starting from the Comptroller's Office and including collaboration with the Council President's Office, the Mayor's Office, the City Administrator, and the Department of Law. These regulations are designed to standardize, rationalize, and really demystify the operations of the Board of Estimates for the public. And that's why it's important to emphasize, as you did, Mr. President, that today's action by the board is just the first step in a process that includes substantive review and comment by the public. The draft regulations will be posted on the Comptroller's website, as well as on the Law Department's regulations website for public input for 30 days, as required under the Administrative Procedure Act. They will then be brought back to the board for another vote in final form, for a vote in final form. So just to give a quick summary, the draft regulations consist of 6 sections that encompass all aspects of board meetings and operations. Section 1 deals with regular and special meetings, as well as officers such as president, secretary, and clerk, and it treats with the adoption of regulations by the board. Section 2 addresses preparation of the agenda, as well as recusal memos, what we now know as abstention memos. Section 3 clarifies and establishes procedures for taking action on the record at meetings, including the opening statement, action on routine and non-routine agendas, and withdrawals and deferrals of items. Section 4 sets forth the process for protesting agenda items, specifically protests of contract awards, as they're defined in the 2019 city procurement regulations, and they essentially mirror those regulations. Section 5 establishes a similar process for statements by members of the public that may not meet the technical definition of a protest as specified in the procurement regs, but are things that people want to comment on, such as a provision in the ordinance of estimates or something similar. And Section 6 addresses meeting summaries, as well as recorded video archives of meetings. So as I said at the outset, these draft regs are the first step in bringing greater clarity and transparency to the board's operations. With that, I'll conclude and be happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Knighton, thank you for your hard work on this initiative that I know was a core competency that was established by the comptroller when he was sworn in back in December. So thank you for all your hard work. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board to Director Knighton or to Comptroller Henry? Hearing and seeing none, at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, Mr. President, we just have to take note of it at this point.
Okay.
Now there'll be a 30-day public comment period, and hopefully we'll vote at the first meeting after that 30-day period.
Okay, I thought we had to vote to go to public comment, but we don't.
That's my
Because-
understanding, is that we don't have.
Yeah, I think that's more of a formality, just the
yeah.
way we kind of run the board. So we don't have to.
In that case, I'd be happy to move that we approve this if it would clear up any concerns that we didn't touch all the bases we needed to touch.
Yeah, let's just do that, because I mean, we clearly laid out the motivation of the board today, and that's for us to hear this and then turn it over to the public for us to then come back and adopt it formally. So we can just solidify those steps by voting it out today, allowing the public process to take place, and then coming back and going forth with whatever additional recommendations that Mr. Knighton and the team are able to come up with. All right, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of this item going to the public and then coming back to the board in the next 30+ days, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. This item is now approved and will provide for public comment. And then Mr. Knighton and Comptroller, you'll bring it back in front of the board for final adoption. Thank you
Yes,
again
sir.
for all your hard work on this particular item. Mr. Comptroller, as it relates to that going to the public, is there anything that you want to add or talk about?
Not at this point. I'm very curious to see what public comments we get on this. As as Mr. Knighton went over very, very clearly and extensively, we've done a lot of workshopping on these rules and regs. I will take an opportunity now to thank the city solicitor and his office for lots and lots of work on this at all. This was definitely a very collaborative effort. And I had planned to save those thanks for the final passage, but I guess there's no reason that we can't provide them both times because it was a lot of work. But I'm very curious to see how the public reacts to this, and I look forward to having a more substantive discussion on these rules and regs when we come back after the 30-day comment period. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Comptroller. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board before we adjourn? Hearing and seeing none, as there's no new business before the desk, the board will recess until bid opening at 12 noon. The Board of Estimates will reconvene on Wednesday, November the 3rd at 9 a.m. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Baltimore, we love you.